welcome back to the Scruggs Show. I am your host, attorney Natasha Scruggs, and I'm here with my guy Justin.
What's up?
At Let It Fly Media. Hit up them if you have a podcast or any actually media idea that you need to get done. So, how was your week so far, Justin?
It's been pretty good. I went on my first shoot ever since COVID shut everything down. We're starting to get back into things. The team's back from PGA now.
That was so dope to see y'all.
Yeah.
Like, if you guys don't know, Let It Fly was hired to cover the PGA championships. And I mean, I wouldn't have been able to even see all of those shots. Like, I saw like all these behind the scenes shots because I follow them. It looks so dope.
Yeah, I didn't personally get to go, but the team did. And now they're all back in the office. So it was kind of lonely without them, but no, it's good to have everyone back.
That's great. Yeah, my week's been pretty packed. Just been working on a lot of different stuff. I'm really focusing on, I'm trying to get my resume and my cover letter together because ultimately I want to, even though there's not like a job offering out right now, I feel like there's going to be a job coming up in the Chiefs legal department, and that's what I have my sights set on.
Gotcha.
So I'm just like focused on that.
But I think you mentioned this a little earlier. You are turning what soon?
30.
You're turning 30 soon. So I think you said this is going to be a little bit different, like a different type of episode.
Yeah, because people been asking me little stuff, and I don't know. When I was in like middle school, people started calling me like Tasha Mama. And it's like, I'm like the oldest out of my friends, and I'm turning 30 in November, and then all of them are going to turn 30. And so we've basically been talking about what are we going to do to start the decade off? Like what goals are we going to set for our 30s? Because
before you do your 30s, let's talk about like what you've done to get to where you are now.
Yeah.
So maybe talk like goals when you were a kid and like more into your 20s. What about that first?
When I was a kid, I said I wanted to be a lawyer. I said I just knew what my 20s was going to look like from every aspect. Like I literally pictured it, and I used to watch movies like Boomerang or Legally Blonde or just anything. I saw it on TV, I saw it on the movies, and I was like, that's going to be my 20s. And I literally created that. Like I remember I said, I'm going to be done with school by 25, which I was. I had my law degree at 25. I just knew it was like going to be me and my friends. We were going to be taking vacations. I just imagined like going shopping. You know, when you're a kid, you're thinking about like basic stuff. I'm like, I'll be able to shop whenever I want. I'll get my hair done whenever I want, my nails done, my makeup done. Just the lifestyle of a 20-something. I was like, that's going to be it. And then I remember when I graduated and I was 25, SZA came out, and SZA is actually, she's a great artist. And she's born in St. Louis, and her birthday is like 2 weeks before mine, the same year. And she came out with this song called 20-somethings. And she was talking about it from like our standpoint. And it's like, the 20-somethings kind of get a bad rap, but if you look at kind of like the example that we had, and then you look at like the country that we have to grow up in, I think the 20-somethings are doing pretty good. What you think?
I'm kind of in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So I feel like as myself, I still feel like a kid. I haven't hit that like, bought a house, grown up, settled down my roots yet. So I mean, for what it's worth, I feel like I'm doing all right. But yeah, I guess we'll see in a couple of years.
See, me, I never saw myself buying a house in my 20s. That's the crazy part. I know my grandparents did, my mom
exactly.
did.
I feel like that's such an old ideal, but like nowadays, I mean, you hold off on that for quite a while now.
Yeah, like a lot of us, we're excited to just have our apartment. Like we don't really, I feel like we're a little bit like our generation, the 20-somethings, are like, we like to have like an exit strategy. We want to see where the door is. So at least feels comfortable to us. Sometimes we're in a job we don't like. You know how our older generations were like, you stay in a job for like 40 years and you get your 401k or none of us are really doing that. We're like, we want to get out the office. We want to be online. So we're just a different type of generation.
Yeah, I totally feel that.
So I feel like we had these rules, my friends, when I was about to turn 20 and I was in college, we were like, okay, we call them diva rules. It's like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do that. And I was kind of strict with it. But now I'm getting older, and I'm saying in my 30s, not saying like when I turn 30, but these are my goals that I have. So I have them written down. So I'm just going to go through each one of them. Okay, so number 1, investments and savings. So I don't know about you, but I was kind of scared to come into like the day trading side or like the stocks or anything like that. Like I just been focused on just my one career and like making money that way. But now I feel like in my 30s, I want to really get into investments and making my money grow like that.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing, especially for um, like people our age who understand it exists. Like when you say 401k, it's not like people don't know what a 401k is, but they don't know how, they don't have the resources, or they don't have the knowledge of like, well, where do I even start? It just sounds so big and scary. But yeah, I think
It does,
yeah,
doesn't it?
like, oh, go start your own 401k or start a Roth IRA. You're like, I know some of those words. Like, where are the resources to do that? But
Exactly.
yeah, I definitely think starting earlier is way better than late. You know?
Yeah. And then the 401k is like a long-term investment. And then you have like, I just recently found out about day trading, which is where you it's not long-term. It's like you're moving money in and out in one day, and it like closes out at 3 p.m. and then the next day it wakes up. So it's kind of like the people that are on the stock exchange every day. You don't have to like look at your computer all day or look at your phone all day, but you do need to be like on your phone like right when it's about to close out for the day. So I've been looking into that. There's a lot of different programs. One thing I saw was Invest with, I think Tracy is her name. Basically it's this woman who she worked in education, and then she started day trade. Well, first of all, during her senior year in high school, her school went to the Chicago Stock Exchange for a field trip, and I've never been, and now I want to go and see, because she said when she saw it, it was like, oh my God, like you see so many people walking around and you see the numbers and it's kind of exciting, and for some reason that like fired her up. But she didn't know, and she told her mom, she was like, Mom, we should invest in Google. And this is like before Google, like Google was about to go public when she said this. And her mom was like, what? How do we even do that? Like they didn't even know how to start the process.
Yeah.
And so now she teaches people because they didn't know. She just said, okay, forget it. I'm going to go to school for education, which she did that year. And then she spent like 10 or 15 years in education. And then she used day trading while she was in education. She was like a vice principal to get out of that, and then she does it full time and teaches it. And so it's super interesting to me, and I'm like, what if this was on my list for my 20s? Like I could have been doing this for a long time. I mean, what do you think?
So my perception of day trading is like, you can't just do it with like very small amounts of money. Most accounts when you day trade have to have like, I think a certain, like, let's say ballpark threshold is like 10,000. You need to be day trading like 10,000 or have that much in your account to be doing that stuff. And so
I heard about that. I heard that you need like 10,000 if you're going to move in and out in the same day. But I think that you can start with a few thousand if you're not going to do it like all day in and out. But I don't know. I'm still learning. I'm totally.
So I do stuff on like, I do small trades on Robinhood.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's ways to day trade with Robinhood, but typically, there's apps that are faster and like more, I guess, real time than other apps. And so when you are day trading, it's like you are moving a large amount of money and hoping that something rises maybe a couple cents, $1. But when you are putting $10,000 into a $5 stock that changes to 502,
right?
Like, it may only be 2 cents, but in the moment, it's like, well, you're trading $10,000 of that $5 stock. So it's a lot of money that's being moved really quickly.
Really quick,
which is why a lot of day traders, like, you have to be on it. And the level of knowledge of like, well, why is this stock going to rise in this moment to get in and out and make those decisions, I think is like super interesting and kind of over my head at this point.
Yeah, it's like, I guess it's like you can look at a chart and you can like predict, but you do have to be on. You need to see what's going on pretty much every day if you're going to do that. I heard of Ameritrade too. So Robinhood, Ameritrade, a lot of different apps like that. You can do it on that level. It's like different levels to it. Hopefully by the end of my 30s, I'll have mastered a system where I can do it even when I'm on vacation or something like that. And investments is big. Another thing is, Not investments is what I'm going to talk about now. So investing in real estate, we talked about that when my friend was here because she's studying to get her real estate license, and that's something that I think a lot of millennials, just like you just said, we haven't bought property and different things like that. One thing I'm realizing is I don't have to live in the property. I could buy a property for like $100K. I could either do seller finance where you just pay direct to the seller, or I could try to get a bank loan for that, and I could use it as income. It's not going to be like $1 million income, but say if I rent it out for $1,000 and my mortgage is $500, that's just another source of income. So I feel like that's one thing if you do real estate like that. There's a lot of other ways you can get into real estate investments. And I feel like real estate investments, trading, I'm sorry.
Good.
Stocks, doing things like that, plus saving your money. I feel like that needs to be a top thing for your to-do list for your 30s.
I think just in general, like the idea of putting money away and then you don't see it for the next 50 years is kind of like, it's hard to grasp for a lot of people. But when you think about it very like intuitively, that money that you're putting away grows and it's free. Like if a company matches your 401k, like let's say you put just arbitrarily, if I put $2,000 and your company also matches that up to like, let's say $5,000.
Right.
So up until $5,000, that is $5,000 that my company will match. That also grows for the next 50 years. So it's quite literally free money that a lot of people just like don't take advantage of. And I think like having knowledgeable resources and knowledgeable like people that are, saying like, hey, this is something that everyone, young, old, if you haven't done it yet, like you should get on it.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong. Sorry. I'm like having a
Good.
issue. Like, what is going on? Okay. Yes, I totally agree that this is money that we could be taking advantage of now. And I feel like in my 20s, in my teens, whatever, I was like living for the now. And now when I turn 30, I'm going to be living for the future, legacy, different things like that. Even if something happens to you, that money is going to go to your heirs as well. I see a lot of people doing GoFundMes when people pass away. And if you had a estate plan, which that stuff goes into your estate plan, then you wouldn't need that because all of that stuff will be taken care of. It's not just, I think a lot of people think life insurance. It's not, life insurance is one thing. This is just your money. This is just your assets that you'll have, that you'll be able to pass down. It'll be transferable, to people who care about you. And like I said, like you said, even if it's not right now, even if it's 30 years, 40 years down the line, that feels so much better. Plus, say if you start investing heavy on stocks or, and this is another thing. A lot of times we come up on money. Like something will happen. We'll sell something online or we'll get a raise or we'll get something. Something will happen where you'll come up on a little bit of extra money. And instead of spending it on things that, may not bring a return, you can look to spending it on other things. And I feel like it's been so many influxes of cash that I can think of in college. And like one big thing that I did in college that I shouldn't have done, I used to blow my refund checks. Like
Yeah,
and I was like,
as soon as you get it, it's like,
yeah. And I'm like, why did I do that? Oh, because I was ignorant to what I should do with the money.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I think that's true for a lot of people. Like people want that like instant gratification. Like, oh, this is money I didn't have anymore or didn't have before. Now it feels so nice to go out and spend it and have something right in the moment. When if you really think about it, like long term, putting that away and having that grow over, X amount of years is going to be overall way better for you.
Yeah, like all of the stuff that I blew my money on in college, I don't even have it anymore. Like all the shoes and stuff.
Exactly.
Like, what was I doing?
Exactly.
Like, I'm just like, it's literally adult brain versus younger brain. It's totally different. So that's the number one thing.
What's next? What's number two?
Number two is becoming debt free. So this kind of goes hand in hand. I remember when I was younger, I was thinking, I don't care about having debt, even though my mom paid off all her college debt, even though college debt was way, cheaper back then. But still, I just thought, I just didn't even think about it. Like, I just signed my FAFSA and all of that stuff. And I was like, because that's the only debt that I really have. Like, I don't have, well, actually, I had a surgery in college when I was playing basketball, and I didn't know that I would need to like pay some. So I do have like random debts like that. Like every 20 something has like something.
Yeah.
And I used to be like, I don't care. Like, forget it. Like, I don't have any evictions. Like, I was thinking about the big stuff. Like, I don't have evictions. I don't have, repos and things like that. So I don't care. But now I care about it because I don't want to have any debt, because you kind of feel like a slave when you have debt, because like you're scared when people are calling you. You get letters coming in the mail, and by the end of my 30s, I want to be debt free.
Yeah, I was super fortunate to have my parents pay for college, but
That's awesome.
I do know that a lot of people, it's like a lot of money when you look at it. Like, you think about, oh my God, I'm still $18,000 in debt to some agency or the government or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it feels like an insurmountable hill. And a lot of people are on like payment plans, like, oh, you've decided with the bank that's financing it that you're going to pay this amount for every month for the next, 20 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think something that a lot of people don't recognize that you can do is once you graduate, once you start working your first job, once you build up a credit score, you can refinance that.
Right.
And for some people, it doesn't make sense. Like if you've already planned out, this is how much I'm going to like, this is how long I'm gonna pay it off for. This is how much. And if you're comfortable with that, that's fine. But a lot of times, like once you get a raise, once you get, let's say you graduate college, now you have an income, or let's say your second job out of college, you don't, your income jumps. There's a lot of times where it would be smart for those people to be able to say like, hey, everything that I planned for was right out of college with no job and a bad credit score. 5 years down the line, I've been paying off my credit cards. I've been paying, my house bills, my rent, my water, electricity, all that goes to boosting your credit score. And so you can go to that financial institution, whether it be a bank or directly to an agency. I don't know, like arbitrarily what you're going through, but you can refinance that stuff to say like, hey, I'm going to be paying less over the same amount of time, because my interest or my score is better. My interest rate will be lower on that money that I owe.
Yes.
So that's a big thing that I believe that young adults, especially like around our age, the 25s, where you start thinking about like, oh, I should start paying this off, that they just don't think about.
Yeah, because people are scared to look at it. They're like, I don't want to even, like you said, it's such a big amount. It's like, what are you gonna do?
Exactly.
But basically, if you start looking into it, and I know that right now people are talking about free college, and that may happen. Like that could happen, but I think we should prepare for that not to happen, and try to figure out how we can get it gone. Because if people didn't have like student loan debt or other debt, they would be taking home more money that they can invest into doing other things. So I think it's a good idea to focus on that. Like that's number two. Let's look at number three. Developing professional relationships. So when I used to say, I hate networking, I don't like networking. And the reason, I don't know why I used to be like that. I don't know. But I used to care about the, I guess, personal aspect of it. So like my friends, my sorority sisters, my teammates, like that was the mindset of 20s. And now I'm not thinking like that no more. Now I'm like, I want to meet as many people as I can, make professional relationships. And it's very big, because the professional relationships that I have now have helped me get to where I am. So they are very, very important. An example, there's a group called Diverse Representation that is started by a Black woman attorney. Her name is Jai Thomas, and she lives in California, and she's an entertainment lawyer. So her goal for this group was to connect lawyers and to connect other people to the lawyers, to entertainment lawyers, to sports lawyers, things like that. Because I just signed up for the group online to try to do some networking, which I'll call it professional relationship building. I started going to her events. Like I went to an event in Atlanta. I went to an event in New York. Like I was going everywhere and I didn't care. And like the one that I went to in Atlanta, I met a young lady named Latanya who is a PR person and she only represents like sports figures. But when I met her and I told her, I said, I want to be in the sports world. I said, I was telling her I wanted to do something totally different than what I'm trying to do now. And she is the one who redirected me based on what my goals were and said, you should probably do something on the team side. And then we connected. And now she's representing me. Like she's like my publicist, like my PR person. And she's helped me connect to so many people. She represents like Maria Taylor, Michael Vick, a lot of different people like that. And I would have never met her. Also, she's the reason why I went to the Super Bowl last year. Like I literally met every agent that I wanted to meet. I met every person in NFL sports law side. I met them because of her. And before I would have been so shy, or I just wouldn't have even tried to reach out to her. So I think professional relationship building is huge.
Yeah, I think there's the two sides: either the people who are really shy, or the people who are like, I'm young, I've got a lot of energy, I've got great ideas, and so it's almost like I'm too good for that. Like, oh, all these old people, like all these older people,
Yeah.
I don't need them. I can make it on my own.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, super dangerous just because, like, I like to put myself in a room where I'm not the smartest person.
Period.
Like, you enter a room, you enter every room thinking, like, what can I learn from these people?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times, those people are older. I'm not saying, like, everyone older is, has the best idea or you should take their word as gospel. But a lot of the time, it's like they have experienced a lot more. People around you, you should be looking to not be the smartest person. Why?
No.
Why would you limit yourself like that and limit your growth capabilities when you can just connect with everyone else who have already gone through different things than you have?
Exactly.
And grow yourself way faster than having to go through that stuff yourself.
Astronomically faster. And it's like the friend group that you have right now, or the people that you're around right now, they are the ones that help you get to where you are right now. But if you're trying to get to the next level, you have to be around other people, just like you said. These people know more than you. They have more experience than you. I feel like when I was in school and I was younger, I just felt like I knew everything, and I don't. Like, you just don't. Yeah, you're nice, you're sweet, like you popping, but it's a lot of stuff you don't know. And that's what I like about LaTanya, because for some reason I wanted to listen to her. Like, I don't listen to nobody. Like, I'm like, dang, I'm actually like she's changing my mind on stuff.
Yeah.
One big thing she was telling me is like, when you dealing with corporate, it's not about you. It's about the company. And I couldn't wrap my mind around that before. I was just like, what about me? What do I want? And what do I want to get out of it? And that's just like my mindset. And she's like, no, it's not about you. And she was saying, like, because I used to be like, I'm not changing nothing. Like, I'm not going to change my hair. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. They're going to have to take me. She's like, no.
Yeah.
Because you're saying you want to come into a company and you're going to have to adapt. You're going to have to conform. It's nothing wrong with that. And I'm telling you, if anybody else would have told me that, I would have said, get out of here. But when she told me it, it just clicked. Like, she knows what she's talking about. She's done big deals. She's been a part of so many different things. And it's not just her. I've met all of these other people. Like, I met Agent Nicole Lynn. I met Kelly. I just met like all of these like women. I met an attorney who she's a consultant she was a consultant for Blue Bloods. She's because that's like a legal show, and so they need like attorneys for everything. Like, I've figured out like all of these attorneys are in these like entertainment spaces for a purpose, and I figured out like, okay, this is how I can come into that. I don't have to be a actor. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. But if I wouldn't have listened, I wouldn't be able to do that. And now I feel like it's the best time as any, because people are focused on diversity and inclusion to get into those spaces and to do what I need to do. And I feel like I would have been worried about the wrong stuff as opposed to getting it done, executing.
Yeah. There's that fine line of individualism versus conformity that you kind of have to walk. And that kind of goes back to the same thing that we just talked about before. A lot of times when you're like fresh out of college or anything, like you think you're hot, like, but then you get knocked down a couple rungs. And so you
gonna get humbled.
Exactly. You're going to get humbled. That's exactly right. And so you learn how to, okay, I can still be my own individual, but sometimes when it comes to a company or when it comes to something that I have to integrate myself into, it's a little bit more about the conformity and how you mesh and not make a splash.
Yes. And I can't wait to meet more people. Like now I feel like it's unlimited. Like anybody who you want to meet or want to connect to, you can. You just need to figure it out. Like you need to get online or go on Instagram or go on LinkedIn, whatever you need to do and make these professional connections, these professional relationships. Go to online networking events, or when Corona and stuff is over, go to in-person ones, travel and do it. Like I literally started doing this in 2019 and it's the best thing ever.
Was that number 3? So we're on
yes.
number 4 now?
Number 4 is seek spiritual and emotional like fulfillment. So a lot of us have had like all of these issues. People have like, everybody has like childhood trauma, no matter what it is. Then you have like, adolescent issues that you had when you were in school. Whatever it is, I feel like as an adult, it's time for you to take control over that and stop kind of blaming what happened to you and kind of like taking it to the next level. So if you have blind spots or if you have weak spots that like a lot of people deal with insecurities, but then it's like you don't want to address your insecurities. You just want to cover them up. Like a lot of women like myself or my friends, we like to go shopping. Like say if I feel bad, I'm just going to go shopping. But I'm not going to figure out like, why do I feel like this? It's a little deeper than that. Yeah. You can't just like a lot of us 20 somethings, we just want to numb it. So we're going to go eat, drink. Some people do drugs. Some people use sex. Some people use whatever the case may be to just numb the feeling. Like I don't want to feel it. Shopping, like I said. I think I use food and shopping. I really think that those are like, and it's like, that's not even supposed to be a vice, but if I know why I do it. Like I know the release I get when I swipe that card.
Yo, yeah. What's your vice? Oh, it's shopping. I can't do it.
And it's like,
that's my needle. Just swiping the credit card.
You gotta figure out like, wait, like, so I feel like counseling, everybody's talking about mental health right now, especially because of COVID. A lot of people were having issues at home because guess what? You don't have any distractions. It's just you. So when you're at home by yourself and you thinking about all of the bad stuff, it's like, okay, now it's time to figure it out. So what I did was I felt like, you know what? Because my friends kept telling me this, and guys I were dating were telling me this. They're saying, like, you don't trust men, or you don't, like, it's something, like, you have some sort of beef with men. I'm like, no, I don't. They're like, well, why do you think that they're all stupid? I'm like, because they are. Like, no, they're not. Like, stop saying that. So I'm like, okay, let's trace it back. So I, like, went all the way back. And literally, I feel like it stemmed from my dad. So then he basically has been hitting me up. So basically, I talked to my father. My father's been reaching out to me. He married my mom when she was 17. They were teenagers. They had my brother already, and then they got married, and they had me. And basically, he just skated. It was like, it's not like a long story. It's just kind of like, it was too much for him to handle, pretty much. So his birthday is like 3 days before mine, so he's a Sagittarius. So when I got older, I kind of understood a little bit of the initial hesitation. What I didn't understand was how, you can just like stay gone type of thing. And like I said, he's been reaching out. I haven't been wanting to talk to him. So I told him, I said, well, I mean, if you really want to talk to me, then maybe we should go to counseling. And he was like, yeah, sure. So now we basically set up like father-daughter counseling. I would have never done this if I wasn't in this mindset of, okay, we need to go to, we need to try something new, and we need to get my spiritual and emotional health up. So that's pretty much where I think that a goal to set in your 30s is to get all the childhood traumas, the childhood hurts, all of the issues, insecurities kind of fleshed out so that you could be happy.
Yeah, that's something that I think a lot of people have, but aren't willing to acknowledge, even like super late into their life, where their parent passes away and you're 50, 55, and well, I never repaired that relationship. But the fact that you're trying to do that earlier than most, I feel like is super mature, and like I know can be sometimes of a sensitive subject, but I'm glad you share that.
Yeah, yeah. So that's 4. So 5, developing a foundation for your career. So I feel like a lot of people in their 20s, we're kind of just taking whatever's given to us type of thing. And I feel like a goal to set is to take kind of charge of your career in your 30s, kind of like how we were picking our majors out in college. We were very particular. We knew what it was. I feel like our confidence went down when we kind of got into the workforce and kind of saw like it's kind of big. You're like a small fish in a big pond type of thing. But I feel like everybody should be constantly working on resumes, constantly working on cover letters, and trying to just expand your career in whatever ways. I would say shoot your shot whenever possible. And that's what I plan to do for my 30s. Like everything that I ever wanted to do, I'm going to do it. And I did. I mean, to be fair, I did do that in my 20s, yes. But 30s is going to be the next step up. It's going to be more than, it's going to be like more confident. It's like, okay, I know what I want to do. And like, even with corporate, I feel like I had a fear of like getting into corporate, and I don't anymore, because I know what I want, and I'm confident. And I know what I can bring to the table and how I can help a bottom line.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like this is my third ever job that I've had. Just kind of in my life, my third real job outside of getting paid to wash my dishes and getting an allowance.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've ever been a type of person who's kind of scared to say what they want. And so for a lot of people, I guess around my age, you've either, oh, this is what I want to do and I found it and you're all in, or you're still like, well, I've done a couple things. I'm a couple years out of college, but I still feel like I haven't found that. And I think this is a great time to really see, well, what are the steps you can take to find that?
Exactly.
Because you can keep doing this for the next couple of years, and then you're 30, 35, and you're still like, man, I still don't know what I want to do. But to take the time right now, when you're very young still, to kind of set yourself up for success, like you said, building that strong foundation. Because if you go down the line 20 years on something that you're not really set on, you're going to regret everything. Like, well, what if I didn't really like this? What if I wish I would have done something else, or at least tried it when I was back 25, back 30. Yeah, I think it's a great time to really set that stable foundation to build your life on.
Because I know so many people that literally just every day they come home, they say they hate their job. Well, I'm like, what are you doing about it? You can't just speak on it. You have to set up, like you said, set it up. What do you want to do? And it may take a minute. That could include going back to school if you have to get. Yeah, I was saying that. Basically, I know a lot of people that tell me all their dreams and goals, and it's like, we're not in high school anymore. So, you have to do something to those goals. You have to do some sort of activity and action to take it to the next level. You can't just say, I want to do this, but all of this bad stuff happened to me. Like, I couldn't go to school, or I didn't have the money, or I didn't get the job. Like, excuses are gone. Excuses are done. I feel like if you really want to have that 30s lifestyle, because 30 is the new 20. It's basically your 20s, but you have more money and you're smarter and you're all of this stuff. Like, I just feel like professionally, developing yourself and putting yourself out there, shooting your shot on social media, in person, going. I literally told my best friend who's trying to be a realtor, I said, print out your resumes and go put on some heels, put on a cute outfit, and go to every brokerage and pass it out. Like, nothing's stopping you but yourself. It's just in your head. So that's 5. So 6 is date with patience and purpose. So I used to have, like I said, the diva rules that I had were like, don't trust these men. Like, it was like so, it was like the rapper's version of dating. Like, F these people, get money. That was the thing. Like, focus on your money, focus on your bag, focus on your education, never spend too much time. And it's crazy because my mama basically instilled that in me. And I took it, like, I told my mama, like, if you tell me something directly, I'm taking it to heart and I'm running with it. So then, like, last year or early this year, she's asked me, like, so when are you gonna? I'm like, wait, you told me to focus. She said, yeah, that was in school, baby. You're grown. That was because I didn't want you to have a kid in high school like me, or have a kid in college and mess up. She's like, it's time to move on from that. And I feel like I've been, honestly, I will say I've been immature in that department. Like, some of my friends, they always knew, like, they wanted a solid relationship. They wanted to get married. They wanted to have kids. They wanted to move in. I used to be like, move in? Dude, I was just like, my mindset.
Yeah, you getting your own right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like, I've been on that. I've been basically in that mindset of not really dating with a purpose. Like, I was like, oh, okay, I'll go on a date. Like, and then every time you go on a date with somebody, they're like, so where do you see us going? I'm like, I don't see us going anywhere. Like, it's not about you. It's not nothing against you, but I'm just not. And that's not, that's not like inspiring to men. They're like, well, what is the point?
What am I doing?
So anything serious, like serious relationships, I kind of like run from it. I like to keep it like super surface level. And I feel like guys in college and beyond, they take that personal. Like, they think like, oh, she doesn't really like me, or, she doesn't really want to be with me. I'm like, wait, it's not that. It's just that's just my mindset. My mindset has been focus, focus, focus. You can date, have fun, but I just never wanted to get too deep. Now in my 30s, I am very strategic and purposeful, because I want to have a child, but I want to have a child in a loving, harmonious home. I don't want to set my kid up for failure by willy-nilly just having a kid, where they have to go through what I went through. I just don't want that. So, and I think that in your 30s, you should be more strategic. It shouldn't be any oops. It shouldn't be any of that stuff. It should be all intentional.
Yeah, we're kind of the same way, except for I don't get dates and I don't have money.
That's so funny. Or do you ask people out on a date?
Oh, I mean, of course well, not now because of Corona. I'm like,
FaceTime dates.
Exactly. You want to look at each other through a screen right now?
Right?
All right, let's move on from this. This is too traumatizing for me. Okay. Can we go to the next one?
Next one. Leaving a legacy for the next generation. That's going to be the last one. I'm trying to make sure I did 8. Wait.
I think that's 7.
Okay, that's 7. Okay, 7 is really quick. It's just getting your family relationships together. So it's kind of like same thing. I kind of mix those two with the spiritual and emotional.
Yeah.
So any family issues that you have with your immediate family, mom, because you may have some issues with your mom. You may have some issues with your siblings. I would just say, I'm not putting it 100% on you or 100% on me. I'm just saying, if you have an issue with your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister, try to get those out the way. Don't be bickering like you were as a teenager or like a 20-year-old when you're in your 30s. I think that's a big goal. So the last goal, here's number 8, is leave a legacy for the next generation. That's kind of like what I've been doing the last episodes we were talking about this. Basically, the image that you have, everything that you do is going to set your family up. So everything that you accomplish, now you're like putting your family on a good path. So like my siblings, they never even questioned going to college. Like, that was just like, it's kind of like the thing that you do. But if I wasn't doing that, and if my brother wasn't doing that, they wouldn't have those sights for themselves. Also, you're setting up your children and your nieces and nephews too. Like my cousins that are like niece and nephew age, but I just don't have a niece and nephew yet, but I call them my nieces and nephews. They all look up to me. They all see me. They all follow me. I mean, kids see everything. And they see me doing camps. They saw me at the Super Bowl. Like, they see you doing cool stuff. And they're like, oh, Cousin Tasha, you're so awesome. I'm like, yeah. Are you going to do that too? Yeah, I'm going to go to college too. And I'm going to do this too. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like all your actions. Now, I've always done this, but I'm turning it up for my 30s. All your actions are going to reflect on your family and on the next generation. So I feel like you should be intentional in your actions and your activities. And you should do that with the next generation in mind. I just posted a status today, or actually a quote today on my Instagram, and that kind of goes with this too, where I said, after you become your best, you open the door for others to become the best at what they do. You're the one that's going to make a difference in somebody's life. And so you have to kind of have a little more responsibility as opposed to like YOLO. You know, YOLO was the goals before. Like, you only live once, do what you want. Now it's like, okay, come on, let's be a little more responsible to the culture, to society, to your family, and things like that. So I think that's huge for your 30s.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times people make that analogy to like celebrities. Like, oh, well, celebrities shouldn't act this way because you got so many fans, you have so many impressionable people who watch you. Like, you should be acting in a better light. You should be a role model. But that can apply to literally anyone. Like,
Literally.
yeah. So, like, your legacy that you leave on not just your family, but like as an attorney, like anyone who sees you in a commercial, on TV, or on your social, or as like a media company, anyone, a single person who sees our product or the stuff that we put out, it has a lasting impact.
Huge.
And for us to say like, oh, well, it doesn't matter what other people think, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think that's so irresponsible in a way that like your life is not only yours. It's everyone who you live as long as the last person who remembers you dies.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Exactly. So like your legacy that you put out there should be, unless you're just, completely mental and don't care about that, but your legacy should be something that as a community, as a person, as a human race should be working towards something better.
Yeah. And I feel like, just like you said, it's the last person. If you think about people who have legacies, like all the greats in history, is because they did it with us in mind. You know, Martin Luther King used to talk about us. He was talking about the future generation of what we were going to look like. And like you said, with great power comes great responsibility. If you want to be a nobody, even if you are a nobody, quote unquote, you're still gonna have people looking up to you. But say if you say, oh, I'm nobody, I don't matter. Well, I'm pretty sure you have siblings. I'm pretty sure you have cousins. But if you want to be somebody with power, if you want to be somebody with influence, you're going to have people looking up to you. Like, anytime Let It Fly posts anything, or anytime Billy or Andrew posts anything, I know that they probably have a lot of people in their DMs, because the same thing happens to me. People are looking at them saying, how? Like with Billy, people kind of look at him funny because he's like, why is he so young, but he's done so many things? So they're like, wait, exactly. Billy was doing stuff with the Chiefs like 4 years ago. And they don't know how old he is. They're like, ain't he like 23 or 24? Like, yeah, he's done that. It's not like he sought out to be like people looking up to him. But if you're doing big stuff, if you're working for a team and then now you get like contracts with the NFL with your company, and now, all of you guys are doing all of this, the PGA tour, guess what? People are looking at you guys. But it's like people who don't want to take that responsibility, want to do the same stuff that Let It Fly is doing, or want to do the same stuff that other people are doing, but they don't want that responsibility. You can't mimic. And that was my caption yesterday. You're mimicking my actions, but not my thought process. So you have to understand that if you're going to the next level, which our 30s is supposed to be a next level, I want to help the younger generation now. The younger generation are going to make mistakes, and I want to be there to help them for it. But I have to be responsible and focus on that legacy that I'm leaving them. Like, anybody who comes under me is going to be set up way better than I was set up. And that's the point.
That's awesome. That's great to hear from someone who's like as influential as you are, but also still very young.
Right.
Imagine the work that you're going to be putting in when you're 50 or you're 60, when
exactly.
You can say like, this is not my 5-year professional legacy. This is my 25. This is my 5-decade year legacy.
Right.
So that's super exciting to hear.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's the 8 things that we should be focused on in our 30s. Next week, hopefully, I'm trying to get a special guest. So I'll let you guys know. But like I said, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, The Scruggs Show. Also, you can go on Apple, you can go on Spotify or YouTube and follow us and get the full podcast. Have a good day.